Chael Sonnen lost the
Give it a go.
185-pound championship twice. You know what they did with him? 205-pound championship.
Yep.
Why?
It made no sense.
Because he said I could beat him. He couldn't.
Said he could, and because I was so new to the sport, I was like, sounds right to me. I mean, the guy's hilarious. Like this like already a little bit too old white guy was like, yeah, I could beat the 205-pound champ of the world, John Bones Jones, on short notice. Of course I can. Say I won't. And I was just like,
and then John Bones Jones backed out of the fight, dude. He was talking. I saw him on a radio show, and he and John Jones are like next to each other in chairs doing radio promos, cutting it. And Chael Sonnen's talking about how John Jones backed out of a fight already, and he's not sure if he's going to back out again because clearly John Jones is frightened. And John Jones is like, Chael, look right here. I'm going to hit you with this part right there. You're going to hate it. Like, that would intimidate.
You're going to hate it.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing. It's half wrong, but yeah.
Chael beat the shit out of Chael. John beat the shit out of Chael for 5 fucking minutes.
Yes.
For 5 solid minutes. He beat the shit out of Chael. Chael's thing is wrestling. Like, that's his background, his pedigree. Most of these athletes start with like a base in this, that, or the other, and wrestling is Chael's. So John Jones out wrestled him for 5 solid minutes and slammed him on his ass at will, and was in the process of beating the dog shit out of Chael when, like, John Jones is so incredibly powerful that he twisted his own toe laterally off his foot so it was dangling from skin. And would have lost the fight if the ref hadn't ended the fight late in the first.
John Jones' toe.
Yeah, show us John Jones' toe. By the way, my man John Jones still undefeated. Another fucking W today. Beat the case, beat the rap, pled guilty to get this misdemeanor damage of someone else's property. None of the shit they did to the wife or girlfriend or whatever her lying face is mattered. The only thing they got him for was the cop car he headbutted on the way out.
Yeah, that's pretty broken.
Yeah,
that's not even the best.
Round 2. It's a very interesting, like,
there are better pictures
reality
that exist of his foot like pushing sideways in action, and you can really see that toe at 90 degrees.
Yeah, it's all the way over.
It's gotta hurt so bad.
So this is interesting, Taylor, because who's wearing those boots in the ring? By the way, what the fuck?
Ref?
This must be post, and is that Joe Rogan interviewing?
I'd wear wrestling shoes if I was a ref. I want to be agile in there. But anyway, this was late in the second round, or first round when this happened. He finished Chael, the ref had to end the fight before the end of the round. However, if the round had somehow ended if Chael had balled up enough or defended himself just right and the round had ended, they would have looked at John Jones' foot and said, you're out. That's it. You cannot continue to fight. Chael Sonnen, you are the 205-pound champion of the world. And John Jones would have had to heal that foot and then do a training camp and then fight Chael Sonnen. All the while, one of the greatest shit talkers in the world would have been talking about how he didn't just beat John Jones, he broke him. It would have been great.
He would have declared it as God's will that he won that fight.
Yeah,
he came down and ripped off his toe.
Like he definitely would have fought him again.
Achilles toe.
But like the thought would have been in his head of like how awful it would be if he retired with John's belt or something like that. Like, I'm sure he would think of just how mad that would make John. He still picks on John Jones on his YouTube channel
all the time.
Almost
very brave.
Really?
Yeah, almost. Well, and Conor McGregor too.
Chael Sonnen doesn't fight anymore.
He will if they want. He's that kind of guy. Like he's in good. Like I see him with mouses under his eyes and like fucking scrapes on his knuckles and shit. He trains, but he's always like recently he takes so many shots at John that he would love it if John was like, you know what, let's run it back, Chael. You want to run it back? Chael would love that. He's probably already got the line written down, like fucking sticky noted to his fucking computer. Like I like it
when he talks about Conor McGregor. He'll be like, look, I'm not throwing stones at Conor McGregor, but the facts are he's a crackhead adulterer.
He's just a dishonest, weird little drug addict.
Yeah, he's a dishonest, weirdo drug addict showing up at VJ awards or something. I don't know. He's picking on DJs. Why would you fight a DJ? Like that to me shows an impairment in your masculinity. And the fact is, he's fat now because he can't train.
Because he's fat now.
Yeah, and
it's great.
But he says it like, yeah, look, I don't want to say anything negative, but these are the facts as I see them.
Well, it seems like he's a very funny guy.
Chael has been
he should check out while he still has all his brain function.
He did.
Chael Sonnen has been the smartest guy in the locker room for the last 40 years. like he's someone who's genuinely like really quick-witted and like understands the business way better than like any of the other meatheads that he was competing with. And he used that intelligence and that savvy to his advantage to become way bigger of a star than he ever should have been. If he was plain Jane, hey, I'm from the Midwest guy, nobody would have cared who Chael Sonnen was.
I thought he had like really good record.
He was a boring fighter who was the second best in his division for a period of time.
Yeah, very boring.
Here we are talking about him.
But it's the things he says, it's the jokes, it's the lines, and he would have those Muhammad Ali like
the man with the biggest arms, the man with the greatest charms, who's too sweet to be sour, whatever.
He'd fight some guy who was like an actual like gangbanger almost, like he's from some tough part of the like from Compton or something. He's like, oh, you don't even know. I'm from where he's from, some like
West Lynn, Oregon.
I'm from West Lynn, Oregon.
Streets of West Lynn, Oregon. You don't understand the kinds of things I've seen. I've seen people, they take bubble gum out of their pocket, put the gum in their mouth and the wrapper, they throw it on the ground, litter right in West Lynn, Oregon, in front of everybody. Everybody saw it. The shit I've seen growing up, you couldn't handle. He's like, there were times when my father made less than $100,000. Well, almost less than 100.
That's a really fun, charismatic way to address like
but he knows what he's
McGregor
doing.
Or someone being like, "Oh, I grew up in the hardest neighborhood in all of Ireland."
Yeah,
he would count, like he'd be on like a podium with like a bunch of other UFC fighters and doing like media day, and they're asking everybody questions, and he'd be like, "All right, they asked Ronda 3 questions and Misha 2 and Jeff got 4. I've only gotten 1." He'd get on his phone and start texting the people he knew that were out there asking the questions in the media and be like, "Yo, ask me this, ask me that." He's like, "We got to pump those numbers up."
Yeah. They would do these events where there's usually champions and most interesting fighters. And he would want to win press conferences by getting the most airtime, by being the person that people talked about after the press conference.
So
everyone else, everyone else is just wishing this event would get over. Like they're making me do this. I'm a fighter, not a talker. Chael realized he had 2 jobs. He had to fight and talk.
Yeah. So his fights would do bigger than his fights would do way better eyeball wise, pay-per-view wise than they ever should have, because they were not entertaining fights. He's not an entertaining fighter.
He argues, he's like, I had a record. I had the record for most illegal substances in my blood caught by USADA at the same time.
Yeah.
And John Jones has taken that from me. Of all the things, he added that to the list of things that I used to have, and now I don't. And I don't even know if it's true. Half the shit he says is a lie. But
5 is a lot. 5 would be a lot. Like it. I guess if he's like in post cycle, which would kind of make sense, that would make sense. Like if they're catching all of everything, they're catching the stuff he's using.
Be triggering more than once. Like I'm. You could maybe do a steroid and they catch that. And then they catch a metabolite, which is the way they caught that you previously did that steroid. And, so that counts as 2. Does that make sense?
I don't know, honestly, because I'm not educated on the stuff well enough, but I could definitely see him catching him for like the steroid, the thing that he was trying to use to hide the steroid, and the thing he was using to recover from the steroid, plus maybe he was on 2nd and 3rd steroids, or maybe something in addition to help with cardio or something like EPO or some sort of blood doping. God knows what the fuck he was taking. He was taking whatever he could to get an edge.
Yes.
I don't. He's one of my favorite guys that's done it. I like that you can excuse his drug use, but not John Jones.
I was about to say I'm a total hypocrite. Most of the time, UFC fighters get caught with steroids. I'm like, this isn't the sport. This isn't baseball where you're hitting balls. This is UFC where you're hitting each other. It has to be more fair. Except Chael, who was funny.
He was funny.
So the rules are terribly.
He's
with
still
Chael,
funny.
it's okay.
Like Chael has a booming YouTube channel. Like he doesn't get like massive views, but it gets regular views as many times as he wants them every day. It seems like he can get.
I just checked his channel. He's uploaded 6 times in the last 9 hours.
Yeah, you just had a big event. A lot of. Every time an event happens, all the pieces on the board get shifted, and they need to be reevaluated. Their worth. This Chimaev guy is kind of a piece that's like vibrating right now because it's clearly about to move around one way or another. So it's an interesting topic.
Could you see Chael becoming like a Joe Rogan kind of guy, like a charismatic commentator who's familiar with the sport?
He's already got really his Chael and Cormier, both former fighters, already have ESPN has that whole deal with the UFC. So they're sort of like funneling in former UFC talent and giving them like little UFC show, ESPN UFC commentator type shows. So he's already doing something like that.
Okay. I did not know that.
And he'd been doing a show with Errol Hawani for a while. I don't know if this new show is an iteration of that or not. I don't follow much of it too closely. But I see Daniel Cormier is active on his YouTube channel too. It got recommended to me the other day.
I haven't watched it yet, but it's interesting. I wonder how Cormier does on his channel. He bills it as a little more down to earth, and
I'd like to see his family. It's
hamburger instead of wine.
Sure, or steak. I'd like to see him like hang out with his family. I'd like to see Cormier's family life. He seems like such a nice, genuinely cool, interesting guy. I think he's from Louisiana. I think he went to LSU, maybe even. I don't know. I had that in my head.
I'm not sure. It sounds rightish.
Down here somewhere. I like him. I saw that quote from Derek Lewis today about how he's the most. I wish I could remember the quote. It was something about how he said, "I've never done a supplement. I've never taken a vitamin. I don't know where you get steroids. I do this shit on chicken." And it was just like, man, I believe him.
Yeah.
that guy really doesn't know where to get
He's
steroids.
got the kind of body someone who eats at Popeyes would have.
Yeah, he does. And which is a shame, but leading up to the that last fight he had for the championship, who did he fight? Cormier? I know Cormier beat him, but then he seemed like he got back there again, like not too long ago when he fought. Who did he fight?
He's not who Ngannou beat, is he?
Shit, I'm blanking that one out. I remember him beating that like Russian guy or that Slavic guy where it went right down to the end and somehow he.
Oh yeah, he was exhausted and then he came back and won.
Yeah, that was crazy. I can't remember, but I remember he was going to fight for the belt. I can't remember against who now for whatever reason. It should have been Cormier. Maybe
Cyril Gagne. He just lost for the belt.
Okay, no. I'm talking about Derek Lewis. Like what's Derek? Oh, okay. Oh, he fought Gagne. I just remember him training a lot.
How you pronounce it, right?
I think so, or Gagne. I say Gagne. I had seen him training a lot though, like doing wind sprints and stuff. I don't know. He's got a. I wish
heavyweights don't have gas, man. They're V8 engines. They drain that tank.
Heavyweights don't try to have gas. It's like they it's almost like they like the fact that they don't need it. I don't know. There's so few of them that have a mindset toward that. They're almost. I'll say this: it's where the fat guys go. Heavyweight is where all the fat guys go. Like there's so many really shitty physiques in the heavyweight division of the UFC.
Dude, if you were to put a 40-pound fat backpack on me, I'd get exhausted faster. They should have less fat.
Yeah, it's. I think there's something to be said about having more mass and how you absorb blows and how you can deliver them. But and maybe in wrestling and judo, jiu-jitsu type situations, but you still got to carry it. And if the fight goes late and you can't work your wrestling, you can't get them to the ground, now you're just tuckered out. But it's an interesting division, but also because the weight goes from 205 at the top,
206 to 265.
206 to 265. What a huge difference!
Did you know that you can't be more than 40 pounds heavier?
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Oh, have we? All right, yeah. I didn't know that. I always thought if you were in that division, you're fine. But it is possible for, say, John Jones to come in at 210. I'm making that up. He wouldn't be that light.
Not
And somebody else to barely make 265, and they literally can't fight each other, even though they're in the same weight class.
They should cut heavyweight in half and have like a heavyweight, super heavyweight.
I disagree. One, there's not enough heavyweights that are interesting already. And two, it seems like the elite heavyweights come in at 230, 240 anyway.
Not anymore. What's
Ngannou?
Ngannou way? Isn't he like topping out? Like
I'm gonna Google it.
What's
and the worst
top?
part is, and the like I think he's like near the limit. Is
You're
what I
right.
mean.
He weighed 262 last time, so he's at the top.
With abs, like ripped,
Yes.
like ripped to fucking back, like looks like an action figure. 262.
Brock
And-
Lesnar did that, and I'm sorry I cut you off. And then it turned out some smaller guy was better.
Yeah, Lesnar's like his own like special anomaly though, right? Like
Okay.
with those.
He
he's
has a
just
very unique body type.
the body type and like background and there'll never be another like Brock Lesnar like fucking situation because he's not a skilled fighter. I never thought he just kind of came in there and like clubbed them down.
He
was a really good
Division I
wrestler, right?
wrestler. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
was,
he was a wrestler,
he was
yeah.
very good. Well, actually, I've heard wrestlers who know more than I do analyze his college wrestling career, and apparently he was kind of low skill but too athletic for people to deal with. But he never did anything really tricky. People didn't think that he was technical.
He was just
He
too
would-
strong to handle.
He would just win because he's too strong to handle. Yeah, well phrased.
Yeah, and those hands alone were just so terrifying.
They had
don't
to
know.
make special gloves. Like they
Mhm.
didn't make gloves in his size, so they made special Brock Lesnar gloves because you couldn't get them anywhere else.
Stupid huge. Yeah. And I mean he's clubbing people in the head with those big fucking mitts. What a monster of a man. But yeah, the current champion is
monster of a
he is a monster of a man. He's terrifying to behold.
Mhm.
Like and he's a mean guy too. Like he's got no sense of humor and like no time for anybody. Like you can tell he's just like a dumb fucking ignorant like hillbilly redneck piece of shit. Like that guy definitely says the N-word a lot in private.
Jesus Christ.
like he definitely does. I know he does. I can see it in his eyes. He looks like a fucking like he looks like the big Nazi in the crowd. like he just looks like such a
He looks
Every
like the
time
guy that like Hitler would pick out. Like, come up here.
yeah. There's a lot. It's not a it's a tough road to hoe. That's not a job that I envy at all. Unless you're like, I don't know who are the guys who have had the best careers, who didn't get hurt, who didn't get fucked up. I mean, obviously GSP somehow made it through that thing, looking like a movie star because he is one kind of.
He's a
now.
handsome man.
handsome man. And
GSP's a great pick. Chael Sonnen comes to mind.
Chael's he's got, you know,
Okay.
you look at Chael, you can see some. I watch Chael. I just watch Chael. I watch him at least once a day. I find it very interesting. I like that he picked Pena as well too.
Part of
that
the reason
last
I
fight.
picked Chael is intellectually he seems to be fully
all there,
attacked.
all there,
Yeah.
100%. But I'm
Yeah.
talking about like everything. Like who doesn't have those ears? Who doesn't have like one of those scars right around the
Oh,
brow?
they've
area?
all got the ears.
Yeah,
Right?
it seems like they all do because it seems like most of them got the ears in training long before the UFC or training during the UFC.
Yeah. I knew
And,
people on like my high school wrestling team who had fucked up ears.
Fuck
It's
that,
like,
man.
We're 17 and you're gonna be gross for you're gonna be gross for life.
Yeah, fuck that. You can
There
get it
is a
fixed.
plastic surgery for it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get it fixed. Plastic surgery, though, I mean, you're probably talking about $5,000 to get both your ears fixed or something like that in the neighborhood of it. Like, it's not cheap.
Well
like
worth
that.
it once you're like a real adult though. Because it's like does that ever happen like Woody in your professional life when you were still doing that? Because every so often like I'll be in a meeting or something professionally and there's a guy who's like presenting something seriously and his ears are all fucked. And part of it's like that's unprofessional and the other part's like I'm gonna have to buy what he's selling. Because you know his resume is right there stuck out like Dumbo for me. I guess the Indian guys you worked with probably not too many wrestlers.
Not too many.
Yeah.